What's up, Rockstars? Today I have some huge news for you. There's tons of stuff to go over. New games I'm going to show you. CMON's 50th Kickstarter. This is a hint. Okay, we're going to be talking about that right up front. So stay tuned, like literally right after all this spiel about everything. We're going to be covering that. There's some huge trading card games. There's some $1 million campaigns, some IP games, a ton coming up. Let's go on and dive right into it. Thank you to my channel sponsor Into the AM. As a company that believes hard work and a great product is a proper way to conduct business, I am delighted to have them as part of the channel. They have some of the coolest graphic t-shirts around and an absolute best fit and feel that has continually exceeded my expectations. With new shirts arriving all the time and other products like boxers, hats, and even a monthly shirt club, I wholeheartedly recommend them to you. Check out the link in my description of this video for an exclusive 10% off everything they sell. As always, a huge shout out to my patrons and YouTube members. It is through their financial support that this channel is possible. Guys, if you appreciate the critique that I bring to the industry that's free from being paid from the industry I'm supposedly critiquing, then there is a link down below for that. Even $1 a month helps out a ton. This video alone, these kind of videos take hours and hours of research, a ton of time to get out to you guys, and I do hope you appreciate it. I hope you find it helpful. If you do, just let me know in a comment or a like on the video so I know that this is time well spent and you guys actually get something out of this, because at the end of the day, these videos are for you guys. So with that out of the way, let's jump right in. Like I said, right after the spiel, we're going to get into it. Yeah, this is big. So CMON 50th anniversary is having a Marvel-based game. Now they're having to partner with Spin Master, which I assume has some kind of license deal with Marvel. However, they are doing it. They advertised it with this, I think, resin model of the Silver Surfer. So it's kind of an interesting. Now, obviously, it's CMON, so they're not advertising with how great their game is or the cool mechanics they're going to play or anything like that. Now, that doesn't mean they're not there. It's just, it's never how they advertise it. I love a lot of CMON games. I gave Hate my Game of the Year. I gave Rise of Moloch my Game of the Year. I love a lot of their games. Not all of them, but a lot of them I really, really do. Blood Rage, one of my top games. But they don't advertise it that way. Even Blood Rage, even the second one, they advertise it with minis, right? And that's just what they do. So that's what they're doing here. That means that it's not the mini I would have picked, because the Silver Surfer is really just a naked dude on a flat board. But whatever. Okay, so this is what it says. Coming to your tabletop. We don't know when, assuming soon. Normally, CMON starts advertising a few weeks, like 4 weeks-ish, before it actually launches. Sometimes a little bit more, sometimes a little bit less. I would expect a December Kickstarter here. Perhaps. I don't know if they're trying to avoid, the Christmas season. Maybe there'll be actually early January. Not sure. They're not telling us. All they did was send these out to a few creators and just to tease. So they're making a Marvel game. It's going to be miniatures. There's going to be a lot of it. It's not chibi styled or anything like that either. So quite interested in this just to see what kind of game it is, because I do like Marvel. I don't own this shirt because I hate Marvel. I'm typically I like the DC characters typically more, just how they're written, how they act, as opposed to Marvel characters, which tend to grate on my nerves when I read about them too much, but just depends. So really excited for this, and they could do they could do X-Men, they could do Spider-Man, they could do Avengers. There's a lot of potential out there for what they could do. I don't know. I know the DC license affects everything. So if you get the DC license, you can do movies, you can do TV shows, you can do animated series, you can do comics. You have the whole range. So if you want an Adam West Batman, you can do that. If you want a Christian Bale Batman, you can do that. If you want a Batman animated series, you can do that. It's pretty wide open from what I hear from the developers. I don't know how controlling Marvel is with theirs, right? We just saw dice thrown with some of the more recent characters. We don't know if maybe there's that. Don't know. Guess we'll see. The fact that they're, bringing in Silver Surfer, though, kind of interesting. I don't know why they're picking that. Does that mean we're going to get a Galactus mini? A Galactus mini? I better buy some more purple paint. That's all I'm saying. Okay, so that I'll keep you guys up to date on this. We'll find out soon, I'm assuming. So we'll know in a little bit. All right, moving on from that, we have the Bad Karmas and the Curse of Zodiac. I have shared this with you before. As far as I know, I'm pretty much the only one. It's for the Teberu system, which if you recall, CMON advertised with earlier. They're not CMON, but they advertised a Zombicide evolution on there. What the Taboo system is it's kind of like this mat with kind of like trigger points on it, right? And then it's a pair of dice with microchips on it, and then these bases that you can also put like magnets on or microchips or something like that, where it can tell where you are on the map, where enemies are on the map, and what you're rolling, and then it can affect essentially stuff. So it's typically app driven, right? But in other words, you like burst open the door, and it makes it, the moment you step in there, it plays the open sound, and then it knows that you missed your roll against the enemy, so it does an attack sound like that. And I actually was just talking to a patron the other day about this. As much as I'm anti-app and stuff like that, one of the main reasons I am is because I haven't seen a killer feature. I have not seen an app do anything that you can't do outside of it. Game designers they're borderline genius. They have decades of experience mimicking things. It's why video games originally started by mimicking the advanced systems of like D&D and board games and tabletop games, where there were roles in the background. The computer just did it for you, is all. So like that's where even video games really like flourished and came from, was the actual tabletop scene. So like I want something unique, and I was talking about Resident Evil, which we love, by the way. It's a great game. And lots of fun. And we were talking about, the voiceovers and stuff like that. And I'm like, well, I don't want like a sound button. I want it to where like if I'm playing Jill and I almost died, right? But I rolled it, and then suddenly, and I'm next to another character, and they're like, oh my gosh, you're almost a Jill sandwich, and it starts playing those kind of lines and stuff like that, like automatically on its own. That would be so cool. That would be pretty legit. I wouldn't mind that too much. That would be... So there's some potential here. It's slightly limiting in that obviously the size of the board is limited. The size of the game you're doing is limited. It's limited to that map. Plus you have to have your own custom stuff. So I don't know how expensive it's going to be, but that's the Taboo system. And from what I've seen of this badly named board game, every single advertisement I've read reads more about Taboo than it does about the game. So I know very little about the board game, but I know quite a bit about Taboo at this point. So it would be interesting to see how the game is. I would like to hear how this tactical boss battle board game against intelligent enemies powered by the Taboo system really works. That's what I'm curious about. Is it something that can really make an AI, like boss battlers are huge on that, right? Like, can it get a legit AI, right? Because I say this in my reviews a lot when it comes to dungeon crawlers and stuff like that. Like, at the end of the day, they're not flanking you. They're not dynamically changing stuff. Like, that's too much. That's too much. You could do that analog, but it's too much to handle, right? And it would slow down the game and not be as fun, even for a boss battler. Like, we get excited if they react to an attack we did. I mean, that's as advanced as the AI gets. So if we have an actual intelligent, artificial intelligence running things, taking where everybody is and doing all these calculations to act smarter, there's some potential there. There is some potential there to have a different experience than you possibly could. So I'm interested to see what this first little offering is. Now, I'm assuming early adopter syndrome, right? I'm assuming some rough, but maybe it'll pave the way. I don't know. I'll keep an eye on it for sure, for you guys and for me. Okay, next we have Altenor Secrets. I just wanted to show you some of the updates that they've done. As you can see, definitely looking pretty interesting. That's for sure. Definitely unique. That board, it reminds me of the spinner in Life. And I know, I doubt they want me to make that comparison, but it reminds me of that, where you spin it and it spins around. It has a little white on the outside. Like, you know what I'm talking about? Okay, maybe not. Anyway, so that's what it reminds me of. But that'll be coming here very soon onto Kickstarter. So I will have a link down to that in the description below with everything else, by the way. If you see it on here, there's a link down to it. So just Control F, find it through there. You'll be great. Next up, we have Obscure War. This is coming out in 8 days of time of recording, so less than a week by the time you guys see this. So it is coming out very soon, right before Thanksgiving, pretty much here in America. It's like a skirmish miniatures card game, if that makes sense. So you have these, you see the circle there, those are like portals. You can spawn guys on it. You can do effects where like they stand on it and then they're buffed. And so you have kind of like Arena, the combat has that, right? With the little circles for portals. You can teleport around and stuff. So you have these kind of tactical card game with miniatures as well that's interacting with it. Kind of cool, kind of interesting. I can dig it. It has like vampires and demons, and it just really, it seems like a really cool world as well. So excited to kind of see this. I don't know how big it's going to be game-wise, like campaign-wise or anything like that, but definitely interested in it. Looks like it's trying to do something a little bit unique, and I dig it for that. Okay, moving on, we also have League of Dungeoneers. I love the look and style of this game. It is like the total, like when I want to do a co-op dungeon crawl, I am much more of this kind of thing than like Massive Darkness, which I backed, so whatever, I backed both. But like one's like the cartoony, whimsical kind of, haha, we punched cute little imps in the face. And this one's like, so the devil appeared and was summoned based off the human sacrifice, and we have to go kill him. Like, that's what that looks like to me. And that's what I'm like, yes, have me like fight like dark, like grim, dark, evil guys. And, I don't want cartoon imps. I want imps that are like bad. I want Doom in an RPG dungeon crawl kind of setting. That's what I want. So like, this looks cool. I love the old school style of it. I love this is like what you would have gotten in the 80s, right? This is why D&D had a whole like witchcraft thing going on, right? Is because like you saw stuff like this. I dig it. So it looks cool for sure. But I don't know anything about the gameplay, so I guess we'll find out. Ancient Blood, Order of the Vampires is going to be on GameFound, not Kickstarter. This was announced recently. In fact, it was announced shortly after Kickstarter said that if you have 3 outstanding games, you can't launch campaigns on Kickstarter anymore. I'm sure that's not related at all, though, right? I'm sure. Okay, so obviously it is, right? Because you actually have to deliver 4 campaigns before you can even do the 3. Otherwise, it's deliver what you got first. This overnight made GameFound the place to go for, more spam account, where it's more campaigns, less delivering of games. I will have a whole video on this subject, so I will leave it at that. But this is now going to be on GameFound, hashtag also the dumping ground from Kickstarter. Okay, speaking of which, Twisted Fables before Christmas. This is what normally on Kickstarter, you can't release the same product more than once. This is a stock sale, right? So they have a certain amount for each country, right? So they have this in a warehouse somewhere, this in a warehouse somewhere, this in a warehouse local. They're just trying to sell these 2,800 copies to you, and you will get it before Christmas. It's a great game, by the way. I love it. I adore this game. This is one of my favorite card games / miniature games. Like, legit, it's really, really good. So FYI on that. Okay, anyway, normally on Kickstarter would not even allow this campaign. So what you do is you did a soundtrack, right? Where it's like, oh, this is for a soundtrack, and also to sell our stock. And nobody really cared about the soundtrack. You were just buying stock. GameFound, of course, doesn't seem to have too many rules around anything like that. So it's just like, hey, yeah, let's sell our stock on GameFound. Again, there'll be a video on this subject later. Suffice it to say, if you're looking for a great Christmas present for somebody who likes card games, would dig the style of this, likes the miniatures, wants to paint the miniatures, all that kind of stuff, a very good gift indeed. 4 days at time of recording this, which means any day now, link down below to this. Normally you do get a gift, and it's kind of a $5 discount, just straight up $5 off. So click the follow button. It costs you nothing. I already own it, or I would click follow myself. So yeah, there is that. Next up, wait, before that, there is a difference. So I do want to point this out. So what they're selling is this right here. It's Twisted Fables plus the miniatures packs plus the expansions of the characters and their miniatures as well, right? For $69. Now, it was $75 that, as you can see, I paid for. Yes, thank you, patrons. That's all thanks to you that I'm able to be in this expensive hobby and do what I do. That had a lot more to it. So yes, it's more. In other words, it's cheaper here, but there was a lot more here. There was a neoprene mat, there was a plastic tokens, there was a foil epic cards. So the and of course the box itself. This is the separate boxes by the looks of it. In other words, what I'm assuming is more people ordered this, right, than ordered it piecemeal, and so they combined all those into this and said, okay, we're just going to combine all these loose copies we have and sell them. So that's kind of what it's there. Awesome, that's going to be before Christmas. Definitely highly encourage you. I don't know how long it's going to be. And it's funny because, like, I did a glowing review of this game. I really enjoyed this game. But they don't link any of, like, I don't know who else reviewed it. Typically try not to watch too many other people's reviews to invade my mind with their thoughts. But they only have, like, Board Game Geek reviewers, which is kind of interesting. But whatever. Either way, it's really good. Okay, moving on from that. We have Nostalgix. I covered this in a previous video. You guys may have seen the dedicated video of that. Just reminding you that it is available. It's guaranteed to hit over 1 million by the looks of it, in my opinion. Especially once the 48-hour does, which is 45 days from now. So you have a long time to take a look at it. But yeah, this is, if you like Pokemon, this is a game you'd be interested in. This is very Pokemon-esque in both its design and how you play it. There's a little bit like there's mana instead of power. You don't have to pay to do your abilities. Your abilities just go off and stuff like that. But you do have arenas, and you essentially have trainers, and you got all this other kind of stuff. There's some more to it though. There's limiting of spells and whatnot. But there's also like the tokens you get when you defeat the enemy and stuff like that. So very Pokemon-esque there. If you liked Pokemon as a kid, you might want to take a look at this. Maybe it's a one that you could get into or get your kids into or something like that. So there is that. There is also the Grand Archive TCG. Definitely more my style of art. I actually really dig the anime. It's not too anime, if you know what I mean. So I appreciate that as well. And the gameplay seems kind of interesting. It has like this memory system down here where you have to essentially get rid of these cards in your hands to be able to play things. And then there are some things you get to summon in. You have to permanently remove those. Otherwise, you do get your memories back at the start of your next turn, but when you get rid of a memory, it's at random, and so you got to be careful about what you put in there because you could get rid of something very, very important to you. Is it worth actually paying for it and making that risk? It depends on how many cards are there. So definitely an interesting take on things. I really dig that. It looks like the damage is kind of like to each other and stuff like that as well. Different classes you can level up. People, they're really big on rarity and like NFTs and stuff like that. That the NFT thing really makes me a little cautious, and the scarcity of things. I think hopefully it's just like foil versions that are super rare as opposed to cards themselves that are super rare. I don't know how that's going to work out, but interesting as well. Speaking of card games, last one here is Esopya. This one is struggling to fund, and I think it's just too expensive. It's a fantastic game. I really enjoyed it, and both my wife and my son have been wanting to play this more, so it definitely an interesting game that I really enjoy as a Magic the Gathering player. I love the mana ramp system in this. I like the movement. The abilities are super strong, so I like that all my cards are really powerful. The deck building is really good. So there's a lot of good stuff here. But between having solo and co-op be stretch goals that aren't available yet, and the cost of it for the cards, I think they need to shop around to other manufacturers, in my opinion. Because Acamonia, which was also an indie run campaign, just recently had more cards, more tokens, plus all the minis and game boards and campaign and all that kind of stuff on top of that for about the same price. So that kind of shows the disparity there, where it's like, well, you could have gotten Acamonia or the Esopya with less cards in it for the same price. So it just doesn't seem to match to me. But I know they need to like pay their artists and stuff like that too. So and again, they should be paid all the time. Definitely pay your artists. Don't skip out on that either. So I hope they can get it, but I think they do definitely need to work on that a little bit, in my opinion, because it's a great game. Just needs to be a great campaign too. Next up, we have Reliquaries, Fantasy Dice Thrones, and Metal Relic Dice. This is from Dwarven Forge, which always does well. They're already 200,000, 51 hours to go. So like this is like last minute for you guys because I'm recording this early. So again, down below in the description, check to see if this is still available if you want to get it. It's essentially these really fancy dice holders, but you can put other stuff in there too. And, they display your collection, track your abilities. I do like this, the 3rd level, 2nd level, 1st level. That's really cool. You can just keep your dice in there to roll it. You can, put rings on stuff and do all sorts of whatever you want. I think they had them like holding fire and stuff like that here and different things. So there's a lot of possibility here, of course, but I really dig. People love to pimp out their gaming experience, and I dig that. Like the Phoenix one, just like I will survive. I'll take this die from this one. I dig it. Plus fancy dice, and fancy dice always sell because they're fancy and they're cool, right? So anyway, they look pretty well built. Of course, Dwarven Forge does great stuff. Next up, Order of Cthulhu. This still has 12 days to go. One of the coolest themes I have seen in miniatures. I love the whole Cthulhu throughout the ages, right? So like I have another one to show you guys, my last one here. I've shown her off, and I've shown the Samurai Bust off. Now we're going to show the Teutonic Knight. Move aside, Joan of Arc. This is how you do a Teutonic Knight. This is awesome. I love his helmet with the big like tentacle horn. I love his face. Just his like his shield and stuff like that. Super cool. Like really, really cool. I dig them. Like, he is awesome. And a great size, too, as you can see. You would paint that beautifully. Me, average, but hence the name. But no, really, really cool. I dig the style. So, and of course, they're unlocking stretch goals. There's more stuff here. A lot of Cthulhu busts and stuff like that, which is super neat. By the way, the bust looks awesome, too. Like, look at that. That's freaking sweet. That's freaking sweet. I dig it. Let me see where they're at on stretch goals here. Oh my gosh, so much. Okay. Whew. So much stuff. I think everybody's getting like a 38 millimeter miniature when you go there and get stuff too. Like they're throwing in stuff like that, which is super cool. So anyway, lots of stuff. Moving on from that, we are going to go to the Elder Scrolls Skyrim. Of course, I got to cover this because it hit over 1 million now. There are some expansions involved there. The deluxe tier, $295. So this is like a $300 game now. Okay, so it's definitely like full on game. We are working on the timing on getting me a play session. You know, they're UK time, I'm not, and been busy with a whole bunch of other stuff. But I think I have an email back with some more time suggestions. Hopefully we can nail something down. Looking forward to getting my hands on this for sure, so I can let you guys know. But anyway, you guys know the general gist of it, right? You're going on quests, you're doing skill checks, same kind of normal thing you do on the game board that a lot of other things, but they do have other systems at play, especially around questing and stuff like that. And I think combat is a little bit more involved as well than some other games of this genre. So yeah, I'll be telling you guys about that here soon. And it still has like quite a ways. It has 17 days left. Next up, Trophy Hunter. What a cool idea. These guys reached out to me. They offered to actually send them to me, but I wouldn't. I've been so busy. I haven't painted in a long time, so I wouldn't paint them. I could unbox them, but it's just too limited for me to feel like it's worth it to them, if that makes sense. I don't think it'd be worth it to them. But they look cool. You see how big they are. Like they're big, right? But they're like wanted posters. But they have a lot of great texture, a lot of great things where you can do some interesting things around the nose, around scars, tattoos, you know, like stretched skin, eyeballs, all sorts of stuff. It's a painter's dream for this. It looks really high quality. I think it's a super cool idea. He's excited about it. I love it. Yeah, and again, I think it's just neat. It also comes with, I think, some gameplay stuff for like Dungeons and Dragons too, which is super cool. Look how big that is. Oh man, that would be fun to paint. I can tell you that much. So, and congrats on funding to them, of course. Next up, Tempest Hold. Guys, I've shown you this already, even in a dedicated video. An insane amount of content here, both as an RPG 5e compatible game, where you can integrate it into other ththings, but then do your own. But just the actual minis themselves, the STL files that you can 3D print, are awesome. And they're giving away like a giant for free. So you can get a mini of, like this guy you can get for free, and he's big, right? He's right there, actually. So, you know, the hill giant zombie guy, he's cool. You get his stat block, so you can get all that stuff. You get different maps and all that. There are so many minis here. It's insane. They're doing all sorts of stretch goals, as you can see. It's a lot of minis. A lot of, oh gosh, there's so much of a scroll. Oh my gosh. Okay, so like they have, and like huge castles and stuff like that. It's a ton. Yeah, so right here, 155 miniature STLs, 15 building STLs, 160 dungeon tiles, 135 scatter terrain, and scatter terrain can get like this big with like the ruins and stuff like that. And then, of course, the stretch goals. So hundreds of STLs. Very good deal here. Very high quality miniatures. Very well made, sculpt design wise and support wise. They printed up greatly. Next up, we have Mothership Sci-Fi Horror RPG First Edition box set, over $1 million. I showed this off to you guys before. Such a cool looking game. I love the fact that, again, they already have an existing fan base. That's how you do well here. People have the game. They love the game. Look at that art. Oh my gosh, I would take an art book of this any day. Even the RPG book, I think, would be cool just to leaf through and look at. I love reading RPG books. I just got done with the Joan of Arc one recently, actually. It was very well done. As far as I can tell, I don't play it, but I like reading it and, you know, learning about the systems and the world, especially, and how to incorporate characters and stuff like that. Lots of cool stuff there for sure. And again, I adore the art so much. I really do. I dig it. Like, that just looks so good to me. So good. All right, one last thing. Blacklist Miniatures Fantasy Series 1 is having issues, and the problem is nobody's publicly voicing their opinion except on here, and so I'd like to throw my opinion where I support the backers for sure. It sucks how you guys have been treated. So let's actually kind of talk about this real quick. They are very late on this miniature run. It was due December 2020. It's now over a year late, and it's going to be over a year late here. So status update November 2021. This is kind of the sucky thing. This is for everybody in the US, Canada, and then the other regions. So stuff like Asia, EU, UK, Australia, New Zealand, they have already been fulfilled. It's just literally the rest of the world, literally ROW, that are waiting on it. I don't know what percentage that is, but it doesn't matter. Okay, so listen to this. We're glad to report that the 10 containers of Fantasy Series 1 have made it to QML warehouse in the US safe and sound. Great! That means they should... Quartermaster Logistics is great. They'll get it out in like a week. Like literally they start shipping very quick. They have a great turnaround. They almost always do. However, we have been made aware of a few things that are required to do on our end first before they can begin shipping, at which point we'll give them the green light and they can begin fulfillment officially and quickly to complete the project. With the holidays coming up and it being the busiest season, we will try our best to get these hotly anticipated minis moved soon, but realistically we are looking at the beginning of 2022. Now that is the extent of the explanation you get is, hey, there's some things we have to do on our end. My assumption is like, and pay them maybe? Like, because they don't tell you. They're not going to tell us anything, right? They're just silent on that. So you don't get to actually hear, okay, what are the things you need to do and why didn't you do them ahead of time? Why are you having this issue here? And why does it take you until the beginning of 2022 to really start delivery on this? Quartermaster Logistics ships it pretty good. Like they're one of the better ones. There's a far worse than Quartermaster Logistics out there. Or the problem is, my assumption, this costs more than they needed, and so they've been launching other campaigns to try and pay for it, so that they can fund the final portion of this. And so they launched Myth and Gold, probably hoping that they could get some money to be able to fund this as well from the profits. It's what a lot of companies end up having to do or trying to do if they do bad cost estimation, especially with how the world is today, right? So that's kind of what I assumed. And now that they can't do that, it's stuck at Quartermaster Logistics, who's refusing to send it out because they don't have money. If you don't like me assuming that, then you should give me and your backers a reason. But without that, we're left to guess. So I'm just guessing you just don't have the money. If you don't like me saying that publicly, don't make this public post about how you're not going to give any information. Just that you have been made of a few things that they need that will take you months to get. And that's why I think it's money. Because if all they need was addresses, you can give them addresses. If all they needed was SKU numbers or packing instructions or anything like that, that would be just fine. You could do that literally over the weekend, bust your butt, work on a Saturday, you can get it to them. But this whole months that you need, the only thing I know that takes months to get is maybe some more funds. So anyway, that's beginning of 2022. Sucks for everybody there. I do apologize. I know I showed this off to you guys, and I didn't mean to lead you guys to anything that is sketch or anything like that. So trust me, that's not the intent. I always try to vet what I show you guys, because at the end of the day, there's some bad campaigns out there too that I don't feel comfortable sharing, and I never do. You guys don't see that on the channel. And if you do, it's me saying, don't back this, which I do all the time, because I'm free thanks to patrons. So thank you, of course, to patrons. But seriously, like, I want to show you guys some cool crap that you might enjoy that I think looks neat. So I led a lot of you guys to this, and I do apologize for the experience you guys are getting. I hope it improves, and I hope whoever has backed other Blacklist game stuff gets their stuff too. But they definitely need to figure out what the heck they're doing and improve, especially on the communication. Anybody who is over a year late deserves more of an explanation than this little bit. And with that, I'm done. That's it, guys. That is enough. Oh my gosh, we started with Marvel, come on, 50th anniversary stuff. We ended on a thing that's over a year late. We had a whole bunch of stuff in between then. If you appreciated this video and found it helpful, please leave a like on the video. Leave a comment letting me know, especially that, trust me, it makes my day, and it makes me pumped to do this again, to put the effort to get this to you guys so that you guys can benefit from it. So hopefully it was beneficial. If it wasn't, let me know too. Let me know how I can improve or anything like that. And with that, again, there's links down below, of course, to everything. Again, Control F is your friend there, even if you're on phone or something like that, because it's a big list of links there for you guys. All right, that's it. That's all I had. Take care, guys. Bye.